everyone, and welcome to the Propcast. My name is Louisa Dickens, co-founder of LMRE and board director of the UKPA, and I shall be your weekly host. Each week for 30 minutes, we'll be connecting the VCs, PropTech startups, and real estate professionals globally, and assist in bridging that famous communication gap we all love talking about. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Propcast. Today's guest is Sivan, who's joining us from Israel. So welcome, Sivan.
Welcome, Louise. Great to be in your video.
Yeah, well, we're delighted to have you on the Propcast. Today's topic is on innovation hubs and country launching, which a lot of you listeners have asked to hear about. Listeners, Sivan co-founded Rentigo in 2016 after building his first fintech payment company. But Rentigo is a PropTech AI startup, changing the traditional property management ecosystem, which is something like $500 billion industry. Am I right in saying that, Sivan?
Yeah, this is a crazy industry. Only the rent payments last year was, in the US only, was around $504 billion, and it's considered to be trillions of dollars all around the world. It's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Well, a good industry to sort of get into and also streamline. But by combining sort of payment expertise with a free end-to-end tenant-facing platform that unites payments, marketing, and operational decisions for real estate owners and operators. In the last year, Rentigo has experienced hypergrowth with more than, I think it's something like 100,000 rental units who are under contract to be deployed and expect to process tens of millions of dollars a month, which is crazy. And, huge credit to you, Sivan. I think Rentigo's, the future of it, sort of easing some of the biggest property management problems, including branding, vacancy rate, turnover rate, tenant engagement, and communication. Like we sort of mentioned earlier, streamlining the whole sort of payment terms. The company is backed by well-known investors and is part of Silvertech Ventures, an affiliate of Silversign Properties. Not only is Sivan a successful sort of co-founder, Sivan is also mentor at WeWork PropTech Labs and a PropTech and FinTech contributor at Forbes and holds an MBA. He's also going to, during this podcast interview, tell us about his latest sort of venture in the innovation hub space, which I'm sure we all can't wait to hear about. But before we kickstart, Sivan, I thought we'd do a couple of warm-up questions and then we will get started into the, I guess, more formal interview. So, right, steaming as it's the morning, breakfast of choice.
Bagel and coffee.
Nice. Cats or dogs?
Dogs, of course.
Okay, I'm so happy you said that. The last few interviews have all said cats. Okay, what's your...
I think 50% of your audience now was, disappearing.
Yeah, I know, literally plummeting. What's your biggest strength?
Tough questions. Next one.
Next one. Okay, you said you went to a concert a week ago or something. What's your favorite music?
Oh, I'm a diverse person. I like a lot of mix, but I think the last two concerts that I went to was Guns N' Roses and Coldplay.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. My favorite one.
Awesome. And okay, so if you have a experience, I guess that you've done a career in sort of fintech, you've got a career in PropTech. Is there any other career you would like to pursue, whether it's, I don't know, being a musician or astronaut or anything like that?
Tough question. I think about it a lot. I don't know, maybe, Air Force pilot. Always look, exciting. And this is one of the things that I'm thinking about doing now, learning to fly.
Wow.
And
so you... So that's sort of what's next for you, Christ.
So far from the high tech, yeah.
God, I really need to up my game, that's for sure. Okay, cool. Well, how about we get started? So, Sivan, you're about to launch, one of three innovation centers, innovation hubs. One is in Israel, one's going to be in London, one's going to be in New York. Can we just start off from the beginning? What is that? Tell me a little bit about these innovation hubs and centers. What are they? Why are you launching them? Who is involved? So the listeners can get a better sort of understanding.
Yeah. Okay. So this is very, very interesting industries that only lately gaining more and more audience, and people are starting to look on this on the prop tech. And the interesting thing is, as you described nicely, and thank you for that. In the last 5 years, I was involved in two ventures that I established. One is a fintech one, payment company, and the second one is Rentigo, which is a prop tech. Along the way, and mainly in the last 2 years, I was speaking with many landlords and owners of huge portfolio companies, real estate companies, and the like few process was coming through me while we're speaking with these people. Like, since they know me from Rentigo and they were considering my opinion, and since I was from the first people who were getting into this industry, which is a 60 years old industry, even more, and they actually, the technology there is like looking like before 60 years. And all these landlords and property owners was calling me along the way and were asking me, Sivan, do you think this technology is better or this technology? I need a virtual doorman, or I need technology that like will help me in the property management, or I need some robots that will clean my windows, or I heard there's something that is seen in the prop tech. What do you recommend? So I always were recommending them this startup or the other startups. And then the second thing that they came to me was they were complaining that there are real estate companies and they understand concrete and iron, literally concrete and iron, and they don't understand venture capital. They don't understand technology. Yeah, they're actually afraid from the technology. They don't understand this. And they understand there's something starting to go in the industry. They understand that there's a huge scene that is starting now in the industry, and they want to be a part of it. And so they're starting to push me to help them in starting to explore, to screen technologies, because they want, better technology to their buildings. They understand that they can lower costs, improve their management, improve the way they work with this technology. And till now, they only hear some words here, some words there, and then understood they are missing the scene. So they say, okay, let's come and help us. We don't have a chief innovation. We are not a technology organization. Mm-hmm. We are a real estate. We are a very flat organization. Come and help us, or help us to build something that will help us to have a chief innovation officer, which they are missing. And third thing that they came to me and I told me, and maybe I call it kind of complaining about. They said they came and told me, listen, we help these startups. We let him to do a pilot in our organization. This startup came and learned on our behalf the system, the way the property manager working, the way the real estate speak and work, and all what we are doing. And this startup is going and doing exit. And we as a real estate group doesn't see from it anything, although we help them. Mm. So we want to have a buy from it. And this is very, very unique to the real estate DNA, the real estate people DNA. They want something in favor to the help.
Yeah.
So, this was happening a lot along the last 2 years, and it's pushed me. And I saw a lot of since I was, flying back and forth from Israel to New York, and was well involved in the prop tech scene, in the startup scenes, and saw a lot of technology. And this pushed me to understand that there's no real chief innovation officer for the industry. And the industry need innovation hub that will help from one side to the landlords and the real estate groups to understand a big part of the scene. And from the other end, there's a huge need from the startups to connect to the real estate, to understand the language and to understand what the real estate is looking for, and to connect between both of the sides. And in the last 6 months, we were exploring this, and I mainly look, why not? And it came out that I find only why yes, because all the side of the equation, everyone needs this innovation app. So we decided to build this innovation app.
It's interesting what you're sort of saying. So in, I guess, the interview before this, I was interviewing the traditional real estate professionals, and Cash and Imran, and they were sort of saying that they're all looking for certain sort of products, but they're finding it hard to find time to sort of filter through them, understand what ones are sort of what problems they can solve for the real estate world. But so something like this is, exactly what they sort of need. And I'm sure you guys will connect at some point as well. So if I'm a prop tech startup, how would I get involved in this? What's the next step for me?
So one of the unique that we created in this innovation hub is that we took our experience, what we bring into this innovation hub. We were a few times startups. We went the track that the startups founder did. So we know exactly how to build a startup. We know how to take startups from A to Z, to even take him to the US, to take him to Europe, to UK. And we know all the process, and we know exactly what the startups in the prop tech need. We know how to teach them about the language of the prop tech. What is the system that exists in the industry? What are the obstacles that they will meet when they will interface the property managers or the real estate players? There are 12 verticals, but we'll touch them later in this area. And then we're coming and connecting them to the real estate. And one of our big advantage here is that we are not just another accelerator or an AI hub, somebody that get into our program, and I will touch immediately how they can approach us and what is the program. And we're promising them a pilot with one of the real estate partners that we have. And this is a goal for the startups, because you kind of can learning a lot about your system, you can verify your products, and then you can go and raise money on top of these pilots, because this is what the VCs today look for. And one of the big obstacles for a new startup and new technology is to gain their few first pilots, especially if it's with large portfolio groups. So it's really big assets. And also, of course, one of the things that in the program is that these startups, and one of our partners in this innovation is all the real estate groups. And they are bringing their CTOs, their teams of management, from the bottom to the top management, all of them coming to round tables to come to meet with the technology and the startups, to listen to the startups and to give their feedbacks, and versa versa, to listen what the startup have to offer them, because they also want to hear and be part of the technology. So we're creating here a big asset, a big synchronization, which giving all the side of the equation big value. The startups that want to join it just have to send me an email, and we'll start to screen them. What we are doing is that we screen them together with our partners, which is the real estate groups. And then in the end of the day, we choose between around 6 per program. And then, it's a program of 6 months, and then another 6. And we all the time. But if we'll see, if we close the 6 and still we'll see a good technology, the doors is always open.
Yeah. Well, this also sounds sort of fantastic exposure for the startups to have all those sort of connections as well, and the support along the way.
By the way, the real estate groups are really excited also. They understand something happening here, and they want to be part of the tech. For them, it's cool, and it's cool to be part of it. The owners of these groups want to be part, to listen to the startups, to help them to grow, because for them, it's also, look, they've never been a startups guy. So it's a chance for them to be involved in creating new companies.
And you met, obviously, you're focusing in, say, 3 cities. You said London, New York. Why those 3 cities?
I think this is the main 3 hubs that real estate and technology are focusing in. Tel Aviv is a huge hub for technology. And New York and London are the big home, or the base for all the real estate group. All the biggest portfolio groups are based in New York and in London. And I think it's good to start there, to be close to them, to bring the technology to them. And from my experience, New York is a big app. Tel Aviv, everyone knows there's a huge technology hype here. And I think I'm running also on the back the community of the PropTech. We didn't touch this, but we have around, I think, more than 300 startups, and more than 2/3 of them are based in Tel Aviv. And it's a nice environment to support the technology. It's helping the flight, especially in the Corona days, which is very, very challenging for everyone. And it's better to be close to all these main apps.
And would you say, as you mentioned the real estate players, that they're getting excited about it, they want to be involved in tech, when they also recognize they need to adapt and sort of maybe take a bit of risk, but operate their building slightly differently? Would you, everyone's saying COVID is pushing forward digitalization. Would you agree with that statement?
Yes, I totally agree with this. I think the real estate environment won't be able to avoid from adopting technology. Although one of the big struggles for the real estate players is that it's very challenging for them to adopt technology, and they are afraid from the technology. And it's taking them a lot of time. One of the things that I see many times with many startups, even with my startups, is that like adopting new technology in a very old environment and with environment that afraid from the technology is very challenging. And most of the startups that we see, it's take them, and this is kind of a gold advice for all these startups: patient, and also for the investor. It's not the online industry, it's not the other tech industry. The real estate environment have its own timing, and it's taken them a lot, like many months. I see average between 6 to 12 months to implement project here. But in the long run, the real estate players understand that technology is their tool to prove the revenues and to help them to growth and to lower costs. And although they're afraid, they understand that they will be able to implement. And I can give you, for example, two one good example. I have a good friend, for example. He's the founder of Bambi. Bambi is a virtual sales technology. And now in the Corona days, a lot of property managers are struggling to show their apartments and to cause people to come, because there's the distancing issues. People are afraid to come and to see the apartment if they want to build. And this is kind of a virtual tour that you can come and see the building, the apartment, 3D dimensions, and you see all the aspects of the building, which is and it's everyone using it before they are building something. So all the property managers starting to implement this thing.
Yeah. The sort of whole, the virtual sort of side of PropTech is definitely kicking off. I was, there's a business called Onsite IQ in the US, which is kind of like Zoom for construction sites. And there's far more to it. But I think they've seen obviously a surge in sort of sales because, everyone wants to continue sort of developing no matter where you are in sort of the world. But it's like, how do you sort of go about it? How do you keep on track? But the products which are coming to the market, it's just crazy to think that we haven't actually seen this until really the past 5 years. I mean, obviously we have all the software development over the last few decades, but it'll be interesting to see what newer products come to market and how they develop. Sivan, you've raised money, you've had your fintech company, you've now got Rentigo. You've launched in the US. What can you tell us? How did you go about your raise and sort of launch? Like, are there any tips for the audience who is looking to sort of go into the US market, which I know a lot of startups are quite afraid of? What tips can you sort of give?
So I think there's a lot of tips that I can tell us. It's a process. I think one of the basic tips that I usually give to friends and to entrepreneurs that I see along the way is that in order to be entrepreneur, you need to have the mental strength. It's not the financial strength. You earn here in this month, last few months. It's not a big issue, but the mental stress and the mental pressure that the entrepreneur is going along the way. This is what and able to resist it is the key success, because it's a roller coaster to be an entrepreneur. And it's not a short run, it's a marathon. Yeah. And you need to understand that things take time. There's a success, there's there's some losses, and there's a big win, but it's a long process, literally roller coasters. And when you're going to the US, first of all, come with at least a product that is ready for beta test. The market is more mature today. So come with a product that at least working. Second of all, you need to come. The VCs and the investors in the US are sophisticated investors, and they are coming prepared to meetings. And once you come into meetings, you need to learn very good the market and come understand with your competitors, understand what is your added value. Don't come to the meeting and say it will be okay, I will be able to manage. No, they are very professional. They know what they are doing. They're learning and searching the market before the meetings. So come and be prepared for this. Third thing that I can advise everyone is the US investors is looking for a local base. You cannot be only in Tel Aviv or be in UK. You need to have a small office or at least a small presence in the US in order to be part of it. And the last advice that I can give you is take a local manager, a local high management, because the local VCs and the local business, even the real estate, are closed networks. And it's make your life easier when you have somebody that coming from this network. This industry. It's really, really open the doors. It's really make life easier. And for us, it's really, really help. Even with closing sales with the real estate, because they usually know each other. It's kind of a small neighborhood. And so comes with somebody that has his Rolodex and with one call can, set you a meeting here or there. And the same, try to do it with the VC industry.
Yeah. I can actually kind of relate to that. Fine, I do prop tech recruitment, but when we were launching in North America, I was sort of flying back, not as much as you, Sivan, but basically every couple of weeks. And we were sort of about to sign a load of clients. All the clients said, Lou, until you have like an office set up here and someone based in New York was where we were going to base it. We're like, you're not going to get the complete buy-in from us. The first step was going to all the events, round tables, doing blogging, showing your interest and commitment to the market. But it really was, having a team full-time based there, like, hey, I'm here to stay, I'm committed. And then people started taking us seriously. But I guess to get to that point, it's you've got to do your research, like you said, you've got to have those connections, but it's also a lot of investment and proof of the product. So I completely agree with what you said.
It's also something that unique to the US, and I totally agree with the commitment. What you say is that something always happen in New York, and there's a networking event, there's a round tables, there's always something happening in the industry, and specifically in the prop tech. And this is where you learn about the market, where you meet the property managers, and you need to be there. You cannot live outside and come for a week that anyway is very, very tight. And, you're running from meeting to meetings. You need to let the things happen. And it's usually, you 1 week and then there's a meeting next week and people want to see again. So you need to be there. You need to spend time there. And it's take time. And there's also a lot. It's a small recommendation. You don't have to start with, a huge office or to lease a place. There's so many nice solutions today, from Sosa to the WeWork to other apps or accelerators that are great on for, early stage startups that, you can come and they will always accept you and they will help you with the networking, and you will have an environment that will support you. And I don't remember, I remember I shared it with you, and it was a nice story that us in the beginning, we started with Silvertech Ventures, which one of our investors was Silverstein Properties, which they're owning all the building in the financial district, and they invited us to join their hub, their Silvertech Venture office, and just sitting there with other startups, other founders, was a goal for us, because I understood as a founder, listen, the obstacles that you meet or the networking that they can give you really, really help you. And it's not something that, for example, the obstacle that I see, it's not unique only to me. It's not something that I'm more weak mentally. It's like all the startup founders are facing the same issues. So everything is okay. This is the way that you need to go through. Also, they're always sharing, all the founders, the CEOs sharing information with each other. And again, for early stage startups, this is a great place to start.
Yeah. Obviously the space is becoming more saturated. I mean, there's plenty of room for growth in every sort of vertical. Prop tech. What would you say? What do you think the future of this space sort of looks like? What can you sort of predict in the next sort of 5 years across the verticals? Are there going to be some more sort of M&As? What do you think what's going to happen?
Yeah, so it's very, very interesting. It's a very, very good point to mention about the M&A. So I think, first of all, the industry only on its early stage. It's only the beginning, and there's very, very few startups, a few hundreds of startups. It's not a lot. And I think we'll start to see more and more startups that will be booming in this industry in the coming 2 to 3 years, because a lot of tech guys and founders, even the real estate guys, will understand that this industry this is kind of the only industry that still didn't run through a change. And the change is only waiting. And there's around, I think, 12 verticals from architectura to finance, to cranes, to materials, to property management. There's so many verticals here that only waiting for a change. And so we'll see, I think you'll see a big growth in the amount of startups that will start to build, and we'll see more and more innovation in this area. As for the M&A, and this is what I saw in the US in the last 3 years, there's a few masters in a few areas of the real estate. They are all days masters, some of them are publics, and these real estate masters understand that innovation is very tough for them. So we already started to see that there will be a lot of merger here. They will start to go and buy. They already started in shop, a lot of small startup with new technologies, and this will only start to grow, and they will every startup with a nice technology and that will be valuable technology, this master will start to buy them. And you can see it, for example, with RealPage or MRI or Yardi. This is huge software players that control most of the market, and they already can buy payments companies or insurance companies, and their vision is to have one-stop shop for all technology for the property managers. So they will go and buy, and they're also trying out. There are a lot of looking for virtual doormen or community providers. There's so many places that I saw that they started to build and shop for technology. And I see also the focus of the VCs. A lot of the venture capital industry starting to look on the prop tech industry. And they're starting to understand that there's a lot of money here and there's a lot of interest here. So I see a lot of emails that coming to me, a lot of VCs starting to speak with me about the industry. So
I'm just curious.
Very excited about it. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, look, Sivan, it sounds like things are going extremely well for you. It sounds like you've got a lot on your plate at the moment. And I guess this sort of brings us to the end of the show, but it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you and learning about, I guess, innovation hubs. I can't wait to hear more about it as well. And congrats, again, on your success of Rentigo. Long may it can sort of continue. Before we sort of go, is there anything you'd like to share with our audience and listeners about what's the best way for them to sort of connect with you?
So if somebody think that I can have any contribute to them or want to speak with me, they can just shoot me an email on my email, sivan@blasenheim.com, which is Sivan, SIVAN @BLASENHEIM.com. And we'll be glad to speak and help or to add you to our community. And for you, Lisa, I can thank you very much. It's very exciting what you're doing with the PropTech podcast. You know, this is a great start, and I think this is very valuable for all the entrepreneur and the real estate groups.
Yeah, well, the whole point is to connect startups, real estate investors, real estate property people to, I guess, individuals like you. So yeah, anyone who's listening and wants to get in touch with Sivan, I will be sharing all the details as well in the below link. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you very much, Lisa. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Propcast, and a big thanks to our special guests. Make sure you visit our website, www.lmre.co.uk, where you can subscribe to our show, or you'll find us on iTunes and Spotify, where all good content is found. Whilst you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate if you could rate and review us on iTunes, or if you simply just spread the word. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday, and I'll catch you later.
You're listening to a Podcast Company podcast. This was made by Podcast Syndicator, where we help you go from start to grow to making money with your podcast. Let us help you share your message and your voice with the world. Reach out now, Jason at podcastsyndicator.com or Brett at podcastsyndicator.com to find out more. Thank you for listening, and do come back to hear nothing but the best podcasts.